If you're marrying a successful guy like some of the guys on this panel, and he says, I love you, but before we do this, we're gonna need to do a prenup, what would you say?
If I was a hardworking person and I
Yes.
was doing my job and I was building my career and they said, that's perfectly fine, you can do that. If they asked for a prenup, that would be fine for me. If they said, I'm gonna fly you out, I don't want you to work, we're gonna have 3 kids and we're gonna be together for a long time, and then from all of a sudden, they want a divorce, I'd be like, yeah, I'm taking the half in that case, because I've sacrificed years having our children, and now you're just gonna dump me with no career, nothing. You know,
But-
that's how I would feel about it.
Well played.
Welcome to The Wall. In today's video, we'll see how several modern women complain about their loneliness. We'll hear one who says that women are happier single, but of course, she has a partner. We'll also see how another woman can't handle the loneliness. I want you to smash that like button and join the channel by subscribing. Add some of your love to the movement. That's the only contribution we ask from you, man. Share your experiences in the comments to guide other men. Without further ado, let's get started.
So for a while, I was hooking up with this guy, and no matter what, he would never invite me to sleep over. Like, it was very weird. We were hooking up for several months, and we would hang out multiple times a week and hang out until 2 a.m. at his apartment and go on dates, and yet he would just never actually invite me to sleep over. The other context for this story is that he also insisted on driving me everywhere. Like, even if our plan was to hang out at his apartment, he would drive and pick me up from my apartment and then drive me back to his apartment. So he was always driving, which worked for me because I am bad at driving. Yeah, because I'm a woman. Boing. Just kidding. But I am very bad at driving, regardless of my gender. Anyway, one night, I'm like fed up. It's been like months of hooking up with this guy. I'm like, why doesn't he just invite me to sleep over? You know, I like sleeping at other people's places because my room is always messy and I like to sleep in a clean room. Is that too much to ask? And no, I will not clean my own room to fix this problem. Anyway, one night, we're hanging out until like 4 a.m. Okay, and we have sex multiple times, so you think I've earned my spot in his bed for the night, my spot in his inn. So, but I'm hinting really heavily. I'm like, just invite me to sleep over. Oh my god. So I'm hinting, I'm doing the thing where I'm like, oh, like I'm just so comfy. Like I could fall asleep right here. Me. Oh man, I'm gonna fall asleep. And I feel his arms stiffen around me. And after a big beat of silence, he goes, well, you can sleep in the car. What a burn. Oh my god.
The pastime is never taken home because it causes problems to get rid of it later. This is surely what this man thought, because honestly, I don't think you're very normal, and I'm sure he thinks the same. Or you're simply the other woman, one of the two. That guy isn't interested in you staying, and you're wasting your time trying to force something that simply isn't going to happen. You're hinting, dropping clues, and he's making it clear that your place isn't in his bed, but in the car. Fair warning is no betrayal. You're overcomplicating things, wondering why he doesn't invite you to stay, but the answer is simple. You're not his priority. If you were someone he wanted around, he'd let you know, without you having to beg for it. Instead of investing your energy in someone who leaves you sleeping in the car, it's better to be alone than poorly accompanied. These are the effects of dating a Chad, a man who brings nothing to the table but his seed. That's all he's giving you, so don't expect anything more.
I am literally still in shock that my husband just came home from work one day and decided that he's going to up and leave the family and has left me in a position where I have to find a way to save my house. But here we are. I'm going to tell you the story. But here's the deal. I am in the creator fund. And if 35 million people watch this, TikTok will pay to save my house. I know that's ambitious. You've already watched long enough. But if we can get a large amount of views, I can figure something out, okay? Here's the deal. My husband comes home from work one day and says, I don't really like you anymore. I'm not happy here. I need to leave. And we have our conversation, and it basically ends with, don't stay if you don't like me. That's not something that's gonna change because I'm not changing, right? But if this is something that can be figured out, if it's because of other things that are happening that could maybe be shifted, then let's talk about it. Let's try and work it out. He says, okay, we'll try and work it out, but he's going to Nashville on a work trip the next day. So that really gives it a couple of days to simmer, right? Well, wild twist of fate, his dad also ends up being on a work trip in Nashville, something that he didn't even know about until he was already there. They don't work for the same company. It was just this wild twist of fate. After he talks to his dad, I don't hear from him at all the rest of that trip. We had been talking before that. He had called me a couple of times, and then radio silence, not even a text. Comes home and basically just says, okay, well, I'm leaving. I can't stay here. I don't want to be here. So not much I can do about that, right? It has been less than 2 weeks. He has already rented an apartment and he is moving out tomorrow. Like, I am looking at his boxes over there that are waiting for him to grab tomorrow. So I would love to keep my house. I have 200-pound dogs that were really his, but I'm keeping them because he works 12-hour days. And at this point, yes, I'm desperate. If you want to hear more, I did block his ass, so I will talk more about it.
We could have been a good couple. We could have had something special. But you one crazy ass bitch.
When you hear a woman say, "Don't stay because you don't like me, because it's something that won't change, because I'm not going to change," it only makes clear how tired this man was in the relationship with her. A man of value knows that if he's not getting the treatment he deserves, he clearly discards that woman. Many women see this as cowardice, but they don't view it the same way when a woman leaves because she deserves to be happy, when she walks away during tough financial times, when the man falls ill, or simply because she's bored or needs a break, which often means trying out a new man without feeling guilty. In those cases, it's not seen as wrong for her to leave. As I said, she deserves to be happy. Leaving your life and home in the hands of a TikTok is pure desperation. When you look closely, the real problem here is that she's a content creator who constantly talks about her life. Maybe this man didn't want to be part of that, or perhaps he was the one working and had to take care of everything, while she just wanted to be a creator. She's probably asking for views to save her house, and as always, she plays the victim.
People that are in relationships have better health outcomes.
I think he actually means that men have better health outcomes when they're in a relationship, because studies are now showing that women who are single and unmarried without kids are the happiest and live the longest, and married men live the longest and happiest out of men. Why did I put pink eyeshadow on like this? Pink eye's gone. But what I was saying was that men are the ones that need women. It isn't that there's some like dating app conspiracy, not conspiracy, but some dating app tragedy where dating apps are ruining dating and people can't bear to date anymore. That is part of it. But I think women are now communicating with each other more by social media. We're communicating more honestly by listening to podcasts, and just we have permission now to speak about our qualms with our partners and with the parents of our children, because we now are financially independent and we have more connection with each other. And we now can be like, oh, this isn't a my partner thing or a me thing that I chose badly, as we've been told time and time again. It's a men thing. Men have been infantilized by their mothers since the dawn of time, and then by their wives. They don't know how to cook. I don't know how to clean. I don't know how to do laundry. You put it in the washing machine and you press on. How hard is it? Whereas women have been parentified. So while men are getting infantilized, they are then benefiting from the parentification of women when they become older, because they go from having a mummy to having a mummy 2.0 in their wives. Whereas women are independent enough to take care of ourselves and a man. And that used to benefit men in that they had all the money, because we weren't allowed bank accounts until the 70s. So men would be like, well, you need me, so you better do all the work. You better do all the work to have a house and somewhere to live and some food to put on the table. But now we have our own money. So no longer do we have to parent our partners, and therefore we don't want to. But the men haven't caught up with this yet. They haven't caught up with it because they've been parented by mothers who have babied them. So they expect to go from having a mummy to having mummy 2.0. And how does that benefit us? How does that benefit women? Unless you are deeply in love with someone and they are a completely independent person, as you are, like my partner is. Why are we wasting our time and energy when we are now financially independent? We now can take care of ourselves entirely. And we also have all the domestic skills that you forced upon us. We now are fully fledged humans, and men haven't caught up. So why would I want to take care of an adult man when I could be single and invest my time in my friendships? Why would I do that? My partner is a fully fledged man, but he's the first man that I've dated that is actually an adult. I've dated a lot of men. So that's the reason why. It isn't the dating apps are ruining dating. It's that men are having this realization that they actually aren't able to take care of themselves, and women are at the same time, but we're the ones that are better off without them. So we are getting more fulfilled, healthier, happier lives without partners and without kids, and men are flailing.
No! God, please, no! No! No!
I've seen many single women over 35 without a family or children, and let me tell you, the message that they're happier being single apparently hasn't reached them because they're anything but happy. They look older from all the work, the stress is killing them, and while it sounds nice to say, I don't depend on a man, they depend on a job that only values them for what they contribute. The moment they find someone better and cheaper than you, guess who's out on the street? Many of them talk about their independence as if they all succeeded, yet I see plenty of women with degrees that are only useful to cover a hole in the wall, but which leave them with massive debt that they can't pay off in 5 lifetimes with that career. The men they describe are mama's boys who never grow up, but an independent man who makes his own money, knows how to keep his home clean, and takes care of himself. That's just being an adult. And like the woman in the intro, who really wins in marriage. If it wasn't that way, there wouldn't be so many women looking for a beta provider to offer them long-term financial security. There wouldn't be women afraid of being with a man who doesn't give them a ring, or videos of women crying because they're getting old and haven't found a man. Some women have even realized this and now know they need to find a man between 20 and 25 to avoid the struggle these women face, to have children and a family. The worst part is taking advice from a woman who tells you to stay single, yet she has a partner. Why doesn't she want to be one of the happiest women in the world being single? Because she knows the wall doesn't forgive.
So I just want to know if all the hot girls are down right now. Because I do not see a single hot girl thriving. I also have realized that all the hot girls are going through breakups. All the hot girls don't want to post. All the hot girls are sad. Baddies that are a little saddy. We are all going through it. I can't be the only one letting this fucking breakup get to me. And you want to know what's the crazy thing? My breakup was 2 months ago. And, you know, when it happened, I was like, I'm good. Get your lying ass out of my house. Goodbye. And now I'm sad. Now I'm sad to the point where I've been crying every single fucking day. I'm amazed my eyes aren't puffy. And all my friends are going through breakups, but all my friends live in different fucking states. So it's not like we can be together and console each other. How the fuck are we consoling each other through voice notes? I need a break. I need a vacation. I don't know what to do. I need to pick up hobbies, because my favorite thing to do was to go eat with my man at a nice restaurant on Saturday nights. And Sundays we would go to the movies, or we would have a movie-thon at my house. All the friends I have here in LA all have kids and are married. And you know, everybody got their own busy life, and nobody want to worry about the sad little bitch that just got played. That's just facts. So last night I fell asleep at 6:30 in the afternoon because my phone is that dry. I have no roster, have no entertainment. I don't care to watch shit on TV. I fell asleep at 6:30 in the afternoon. I only woke up to take a shower and brush my teeth and go back to bed. That, something to talk to my therapist about, of course. But I don't know. I need a hobby. The gym is my job. So it's not like a lot of people get in there. I'm like, oh, how do you do it with a breakup? Like, I go in the gym and I fight my demons. I don't want to fight my demons in the gym. I don't care to. That's my job. I'm over it. I'm sad. The gym doesn't help anymore. I've been 10 years in that bitch. Come this December. I don't care. I'm not fighting my demons in the gym. Congratulations to y'all, but I can't do it. I just want to leave. I had the shittiest workout this morning. So, I need to find a hobby. Maybe pottery. Maybe pottery? I don't know. Any suggestions would be lovely. Let's just, whatever hotties are going through a breakup right now, whatever perras, any bad bitches, let me know what you guys are doing, how we're all coping. because I just need support. I need a community. I just need some love right now, because I'm not, it's not, my brain is jumbled up. Send help. Hottie down.
And weren't single women supposed to be the happiest on earth, brothers? The reality is they're lonelier than the sun at noon. Just look at what she said. All my friends in their 30s are in the same situation. That means you've got a terrible group where everyone shares their misery. If I were you, I'd run out of there because you're all keeping each other single. That's why their married friends in LA don't care, because they know what comes with it. We all know misery loves company, yet we still hear that they're living fantastic lives, when it's not true. Only a small minority of women can afford to travel and live that Instagram single life. Most of them are broke, and they don't even have a place to fall when they die. Brothers, why do you think it hurts them? It's because they realize that all their friendships and their work couldn't fill the void left by their exes. That's why they seek support. That's why they go to therapy. Not always for real problems, but often because they need to talk to a man who will tell them what they want to hear. The reality is she's hit the wall, she's feeling it, and she sees that by their 30s, her friends are more focused on their own families than on her, as it should be. That's why we always say, the wall doesn't forgive.
So this is for the single people. I've been thinking the last few days, I can just not imagine ever being with someone ever again. How do you get to that stage of even meeting someone and then all of a sudden you're just hanging around with them every day? How does that even happen? I don't know whether I'm just going through this phase or this stage of a breakup, even though it was months ago, but I just can't envision it. I just don't think I'm ever going to meet anyone. I'm totally fine being on my own forever, but is this a thing? Do people still meet people, or people just going to be single forever now? I just don't get it.
We're living in a time, sadly, where what used to be normal is now seen as abnormal. Women today only idealize relationships because most of them have never actually been in one. They're constantly hearing this brainwashing about how men are bad. They end up embracing their boss energy, so much that they become so independent they no longer know what it's like to be with a partner who takes care of them. That's why, when a masculine man enters their life, like in the previous example, their life takes a complete 360. They realize that life is good with a man by their side, that weekends as a couple aren't so bad, and that they no longer have to be at the club or in restaurants just to fill the void. You might like it more or less, but this idea that they're happy alone is nothing but cheap marketing. That narrative of "I'm fine on my own" sounds like an empowering statement, but in reality, it's just a defense mechanism against pain and rejection, especially fear of the wall, because the wall doesn't forgive.
Come back. Come back. Come back.
Toodaloo,
Welcome to The Wall. In today's video, we're going to talk about a topic that can be complicated but necessary: the challenges some women face after a divorce. They'll share with us the hardest part of this process and how, even if they're no longer with their children's father, that relationship remains important for life. Because, well, after all, family is forever, even if sometimes we wish it weren't quite so much. Before we begin, we want to take a quick moment to mention something important. YouTube has updated its policies, especially regarding sensitive topics, and we've already received a few warnings, oops, and even a strike. So, to keep bringing you content, we've made a few adjustments. The humor and sarcasm might not be as obvious as before, but we're still here to offer you the best. Also, we may remove some videos or even all the content if necessary. It's for your own good, we promise. That said, I'll keep it short. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, leave us a comment. We truly appreciate it. And by doing that, you help us keep going. Without further ado, let's get to the content.
Hi, friends. Today has been a rough day.
It's yet another step towards tomorrow and healing. And I just wanted to remind you that just because you stumble on a path, it doesn't mean you haven't made progress. And that just because you're having a hard time, it doesn't mean that this is the best it's ever going to be. Time has a great way of healing wounds, even the really deep ones that hurt. So just breathe and be, and it gets better.
Or things could get worse, because, let's be honest, that's usually how it goes. The thing about divorce is that it often depends on who the judge favors more. Although they say nobody wins in a divorce, the reality is that someone always comes out better. Whoever ends up with more assets and fewer debts clearly takes the win. In the case we're looking at today, we can deduce that the divorce happened after the age of 50. What does that tell us? That this man was about to retire, and just as he was seeing his pension on the horizon, bam, his wife decides to end the marriage. Unfortunately, this has become more common than one would like to see. After a lifetime of work, when you think everything is set for retirement, you find yourself without a home and, sometimes, without anything at all. So, yes, things might get better, but only for the one who comes out on top.
So I'm going through a divorce and I have adult children, and some of the things that I've noticed that adult children struggle with during a divorce that I think parents maybe forget or aren't even aware of are, one, that adult children are struggling during a divorce. Some of the things that they're struggling with are watching us suffer and struggle. Another thing that they're worried about is what the future looks like, family gatherings, family in general, the family unit. Also, they are worried about what happens when mom or dad gets sick. The burden is going to fall on them. What if one of them passes away? The burden's going to fall on them. Sometimes a parent will have a lot of things. Maybe they collect a lot. Who's going to take care of all that stuff if they pass away? I have to go through it all. I have to be the person who takes it all on, and that's a lot. So it takes the spouse out of the equation, and it puts a huge burden on the child. And this is some of the things that they think about, and we need to be aware of that.
Now, the big question. Who's to blame in a divorce? Statistics show that in about 80% of cases, it's the woman who initiates the divorce process. This makes us reflect on the challenges this poses, not only for couples, but also for children. It's well documented that children who grow up in homes with both parents present tend to have better outcomes in various aspects of life. For example, studies show that children from intact families have a college graduation rate of nearly 40%, compared to 17% for those raised by single mothers. Economically, there are differences as well. Around 77% of millennials who grew up in two-parent households achieve middle or upper-class income in their 30s, while this only happens for 55% of those from single-parent households. Moreover, it's been observed that 45% of children in single-parent families live below the poverty line. Family Studies Institute. With these facts in mind, it's hard not to wonder, why is the divorce rate still so high? What can we do to reduce the negative impact these situations can have on children and their future?
Want to know what nobody tells you about divorce? Is that once you get married and then you procreate and then you get divorced, that human will be in your life forever because you procreated with them. And then you get married again, and now that human will be in your new spouse's life forever because you procreated with them. No one tells you about that. I'm telling you now.
That's why we've always said it. The most important decision in a person's life is choosing the right father or mother for your children. You can change jobs, cities, even partners, but you can't change the parents of your kids. So, be careful, both men and women, choose wisely. Now, in the case of men, things might seem a bit different, because the kids almost always live with the mother, and fathers only see them on weekends unless a judicial miracle happens. But that doesn't mean it's easy. Sometimes, dealing with a difficult ex can be a nightmare, whether she doesn't let you see the kids or turns them against you. And let's not even mention when you remarry and your new partner also has to deal with all of that. So, guys, take it seriously. Choose wisely, because once you make that decision, there's no turning back, and control of the situation could end up in someone else's hands. As we say around here, go to war with a helmet on.
The best advice I ever got from a divorce attorney was this. He said, listen, you could use me. You could hire me. You got kids. So you're either going to pay the money that you guys have, you and your soon-to-be ex-husband, you could either use that money and hire me, and that money will go towards my kids, or you guys could figure it out and cooperate and keep that money and use it towards your kids. And that forever seared into my brain. But I do come from a family of business people, and the last thing you want is an attorney. The last thing you want is an attorney. And trust me, I have a family full of attorneys. They even say, you don't want to go to us. Like, we are your last resort. You don't want to use an attorney. You are blowing your money. You're fighting. You're being petty. And you got to just save your money. You got to be smart. You got to calm down, like take a breath. I don't know what to tell you, how to like figure that one out, but the last resort is you don't want to use an attorney. So we used a mediator, which yes, they are a licensed attorney, but it's so much more inexpensive than hiring an attorney. So long story short, their dad and I are in financially great space right now, great relationship, because we didn't fight and we didn't lose money. Because everyone, the worst way to hit someone, I think, is in their pocketbooks. So take this advice however you want, but that's my advice.
Stop it. Get some help.
Of course, nobody wants a lawyer involved in their business until the divorce comes. Here's the thing. Almost always, when a man gets the divorce notice, it's the last thing he finds out about. What do I mean by that? The other person has already been preparing everything for months. Her lawyer has everything ironed out while you had no idea what was coming. That's why, if you're a man and you find yourself in the middle of a divorce, a lawyer isn't an option, it's a necessity. It's like going to war without a rifle. If you go in unarmed, it's clear you're going to lose. And in this case, they'll leave you plucked like a chicken ready for the pot. Now, take note. If you're going to see a lawyer, it should be to protect yourself, not just to unload your sorrows. If you go to defend yourself, they'll give you useful advice. But if you go just to complain, the advice may not be the best for you, but it will be for their pocket. We all know there are lawyers who, the longer the process, the better for them. So, if the divorce drags on too long, both of you could end up losing everything, when maybe it could have been resolved faster and without so much legal drama. So, guys, before you get into that mess, think carefully and be prepared. Better to have a lawyer, but know what you're getting into.
I'm here to remind you that if you feel stuck in your marriage, there are a few techniques that you can engage in that are proven to save troubled marriages. Now, these are compiled from the top relationship experts. The first thing you have to keep in mind is that growing apart is an illusion. Okay, most people are still essentially the same. It's just our perceptions of each other change, and we start to project our past onto our partners. The truth is that couples come in and out of love, and there's really no magic in the magic. And that brings me to number 2. Find out what works. Okay, so what I mean by that is, what are the exceptions to your problems? What is different when things are good? What is different about the times when problems arise, but they just really don't bother you? Was it that you created a nice evening and treated your partner like you were on a date? Was it that you were thinking about things differently? Was it a different mindset? Were you exercising regularly and you just felt better physically? Identify real actions, behaviors, and circumstances that create loving feelings and write them down. Now, number 3, just do those things. You don't have to feel like it, within reason, of course. You don't want to betray yourself. But don't say, why should I have to do that, right? If it works, that's why you should do it. Keep in mind that in the beginning of a relationship, we act out of inspired feelings, but over time, we need to step up our behaviors to improve our perceptions. Inspiration comes from the connection that comes from our actions. Actions first, then connection, then inspiration. Number 4, build on the strengths. It's always better than dissecting weaknesses. Remember the 5-to-1 ratio by Dr. John Gottman? As long as you have enough positives in relation to the negatives, and there will always be some negatives, you'll be fine. So just ask yourself, what's good about this relationship and how can I expand that now? Number 5, implement a pattern interrupt on any destructive patterns that you play part in. So when you're facing a problem situation, just act differently than you normally would, or act as if you felt differently, because feelings come from actions, but behavioral actions will also change our perceptions and feelings as well. And finally, as long as you're not in an abusive marriage, close your exits. Now, this expression comes from Dr. Harville Hendricks, and it really means just making sure you have both feet in when you're working on your marriage. Your exits could be spending too much time on the internet, or it could be not being present, or it could be affairs. But as long as you're working on it, this is going to require your full commitment. So take a stand and keep the faith.
Let me tell you something. For me, what really ruins relationships nowadays is the low tolerance we have. It seems like we live in the era of, if something doesn't work, I'll just replace it with a new one. The same goes for relationships. Today, anything can be annoying. At first, it's all love and butterflies, but then it gets to the point where just seeing each other's faces becomes a reason to fight. Another thing that affects relationships is monotony. Some people feel trapped in the routine and get bored, feeling like time is passing by and they're not achieving anything meaningful in their lives. And if we add to that the fact that we often focus only on the negative, things get even more complicated. Nobody's perfect, and the truth is, any person can only offer you 80% of what you're looking for in a relationship. The problem arises when you start craving that missing 20% and forget about the 80% you already have. The result? When you go looking for that 20% in someone else, sooner or later you realize you're missing the 80% you had before. And that's why second relationships tend to have a 60% failure rate. It's like switching dishes at a restaurant just because you didn't like the side, but in the end, you end up missing the main course you left behind. Welcome to The Wall. In today's video, we'll look at the divorce story of a woman who dated Chad and married him after knowing him for just 6 months at 19 years old. We'll also hear from several women talking about their empowerment after divorce and how in the end, they're just trying to sell us a course on how the grass is always greener on the other side, though she hasn't found it either. Ironic, isn't it? I want you to smash that like button and join the channel by subscribing. Show some love to the movement. That's the only contribution we ask of you, man. Share your experiences in the comments to help guide other men. Without further ado, let's get started.
I keep seeing that video of, I wish more people would explain why they broke up. I can't find the original video because my internet sucks right now, but I want to give the story of why I got divorced. Hi, my name's Natalie. I am 30 years old now, but I got married when I was 19 and I was married for 3.5 years. I got married after 6 months of knowing someone. I wouldn't recommend it. It's a way longer video. I can't explain it all right now why I got married, because I didn't just like, oh, I got married for love. Like, yeah, I thought like he was the love of my life at the time, but I was 19. Like, what did I expect? I thought I knew everything then. Anyways, I was married to this guy and he was very abusive and very manipulative, and you know, I'm not perfect. Like, I look back now, I'm like, okay, like there's things I could have done a lot better. I could have handled way more maturely. You know, I'm not perfect, but he was very different. Like, when I first met him, he totally love bombed me, and then after like a year, like right after we got married, he completely changed and he became an alcoholic and an abuser to other substances. And you know, when you're 20, when you're 19, like you have a lot of growing to do in the next few years, and he wasn't growing with me in the way I wanted to grow. And if you know me in real life, you probably would have known that I love being in a committed relationship. I love being a wife. I love providing people. I love caring for people, and I treat people with respect that I'm with and love and whatever, you know, like the normal things, right? Like, But he did not appreciate me, and that was the issue. He manipulated me into staying with him because I tried leaving many times because he became very abusive. He didn't allow me to have a job. He didn't allow me to go to school. He got jealous of my family, made me cut them off at one point. I wasn't allowed to have friends. I wasn't allowed to go out. He became very addicted to alcohol. I actually saw him punch his sister in the face once. I have a video of it, but I'm trying to get, I can't release that. I can't because I'm scared that something could happen. But anyways, he would go out and spend all of the money that he made. He made like pretty good money every year, and he wanted to be a provider for me, but he would spend all of the money on alcohol. He would drink before work, after work, and he was very secretive about it. And it got to the point where we didn't have money for like rent and food, and at some points I had to go to beg my parents to buy me food to bring home, my groceries. And I would bring the groceries home and he would get so jealous and so mad. I'm like, dude, you want to be a provider, but you're not being a provider, you're not providing.
Stop it. Get some help.
We often talk about women who idealize marriage. At 19, after knowing him for 6 months, she decides to get married. I can only imagine her parents' faces as they saw her leave with Chad, a man who brings nothing to the table except his seed. This is a clear example of a woman going for the bad boy, just because of how he makes her feel. Most women idealize what being married is like. They only think about the wedding party and the ring. They don't consider what it means to become a wife and what that entails. I always say that when a story begins with, "My ex was abusive," it often means you were too. It may be true that the guy is a mess, as she describes, but to me, that says she has terrible taste in men. She's not unattractive, so she likely had better options, but she chose that guy. As we all know, women make stupid decisions based solely on emotion, and what happened to her is the result of making decisions like that.
Anyways, he threatened to off my dog if I left him. He threatened to off me. He actually held like a thing to my head at one point and threatened to hurt me. He threatened to hurt my family. And the breaking point for me, though, this is kind of a funny story. I was at a family party of his family's party, and I caught him like trying to sell substances. And I was like, dude, like this just isn't for me. Like, I'm gonna go. Oh, and at that party, he was trying to force impregnate me. And I'm like, I am 22 years old. Like, I need a break. I had multiple miscarriages with him, which I think is like a sign from God. Like, I shouldn't have been with him. Like, yeah, it was a horrible situation, but thank God he is not my baby daddy. Thank God. I live in a different state now. I haven't seen him. I haven't talked to him at all since his divorce. Like, he tried messaging me. I want nothing to do with this guy. He's remarried, whatever. But anyways, I was at the family party and caught him doing that. So I'm like, I'm gonna go. I get in my car. He's freaking out. I have my dog in the back seat. He comes up to the passenger window. He punches it in, and there's glass just like everywhere. And keep in mind, he bought this car. Like, that was his car. This little Honda Civic. And I'm like, I'm gonna go. His parents come outside from the party. They come up to me and they're like, Natalie, you deserve better. Like, you need to leave our son. Like, and that was the breaking point for me when his family told me that I deserve better than their son and I need to leave him. So I'm like, you know what, that's my sign, I need to go. So I went home, packed my things. He tried, of course, freaking out, calling me, texting me, trying to get back together with me. I moved into my dad's office. I lived on a twin bed. I had nothing. I had $400 in my bank account. And I'm like, screw it. Like, you know, I just need a fresh start. And he would not sign the divorce papers. I wanted nothing from him. I'm like, just leave me alone. Never talk to me again. I want nothing from you. He would not sign the divorce papers for, I think, 8 months. It's been almost 10 years, so it's kind of hard to remember. But he finally signed them, and he tried going through a bankruptcy during the process of getting our divorce, like a Chapter 13 bankruptcy. And I was like, why won't you file bankruptcy when we're getting a divorce? Like, why wouldn't you just wait until after? Anyways, he tried taking my car away that was paid off. I'm like, dude, this is like all I have. I have like $400 in my bank account, no job, no school experience. You know, just leave me alone. Leave me, my peaceful life, my dog alone, and my family. And if you know me in real life, I'm so close to my parents. I'm so close to them. My family is my everything. I just, like, why would you threaten my family? Anyways, left him, got a divorce, and you know what? Looking back on it, what has it been, like 8 or 9 years since I got a divorce? I am so thankful that all that happened. And I know that sounds like weird and like, why would you be thankful for being divorced? But I'm thankful all that happened to me. I wouldn't be the person I am today without that experience. I wish it never happened, of course. I've been through a lot, so I'm actually single now. I don't talk about this with anyone unless, you know, I know them, I like them, I trust them. But yeah, thank you to my ex-husband for leaving me.
You break up with a guy at 22. After a series of bad decisions, and now, almost a decade later, you're still telling the same story. Funny how you only realize you deserved better when his own family tells you. Did you really need your ex's parents to give you the green light to value yourself? Where was that self-worth when you decided to get married after just 6 months? Sure, he was abusive and a mess with his addictions, but what kept you there for so long? It sounds like a classic mix of low self-esteem and emotional dependency, not exactly a situation where you were manipulated as much as you claim. Women give men access to their lives, and men give the ring. But as we always say here, relationships follow the man's direction at the woman's pace. This means it takes two to tango. This guy showed plenty of red flags, and if you left him at 22, that means it took 4 years. Why couldn't you do it sooner? Didn't you see those red flags in the first year? Or did you choose to ignore them? These are the consequences of choosing the bad boy. See why men aren't keen on dating women in their 30s. They bring too much baggage, especially when they come with a disastrous divorce. So, guys, be mindful when dealing with divorced women.
Guys, here's 2 things that you need to understand if you're going through a breakup or a divorce with a narcissistic person. If you guys are new here, my name is Scott. I'm a certified divorce recovery coach, and I'm also an ordained minister. Let's talk about it. 2 things, guys. The first one is this, and it's probably going to be a little painful for some of you guys. A narcissistic person will not leave you or break up with you or divorce you or do any of those things until they have a new supply. They will not divorce you or break up with you unless they already have someone else lined up. And yes, that means they were probably cheating on you before they left. I'm sorry that hurts, but it's the truth. The second thing is this. What if you're the one who leaves them? What if you're the one that files for divorce? What if you're the one that breaks up with them? Well, then they're going to double down on everything that they did to get you in the first place. They're going to go back and start being sweet and romantic. They'll be willing to go to therapy and all these things. They'll go to church with you, whatever it is that you want to do so they can reel you back in. It's called hoovering. Maybe they've actually changed this time. It's going to be different. They seem so much better now. The only reason they're doing that is because they have got to maintain a supply. These people cannot function by themselves. This is where you will also see them jump into another relationship very quickly, because their entire reality is built around other people. And some of you guys know exactly what I'm talking about, and I would love to hear your story. Make sure you leave me a comment, guys. Hope this helps somebody.
Totally agree, but I have one question. Where do these ridiculous titles come from? Honestly, do they make up these careers, or do people actually study for them? Someone leave a comment to clarify. But based on what you said, never forgive a cheating woman. A cheater never stops. They may pause for a few years, but they always go back to it. You know why? Because like any narcissist, they'll wait for you to cool down. They'll put effort into the relationship, make you feel comfortable, and once they have you in their hands again, they'll do it all over. And they'll be even more clever about it, because they love that thrill of doing what's forbidden. Once a woman loses the fear of cheating, my friend, you're not getting her out of that. Plus, you don't want that torment in your mind, wondering where she is at every moment and needing constant communication. It'll mess with your head, creating endless insecurities. It's better to start a new chapter in your story than to keep reading the same book where the hero always dies.
I am a divorced mum of 2, and I've been separated now for 3 years, and I have experienced what it feels like to be in a marriage where you feel alone and you feel undesired, you feel unsupported, and you feel unheard. And being in that situation can be crippling to your self-esteem and confidence. And what I have experienced in my journey is that I discovered that I had an anxious attachment. So my people-pleasing tendencies got me into these situations with mostly avoidant style men. And this is not a video to bash my ex-husband. It is not a video to, bash men at all. This is a video of how you can empower yourself after a divorce. And my top tip for, getting through a divorce when you're a little anxiously attached, maybe you feel really exhausted and you feel really low, your self-worth is just like bottomed out, and you're scared that you're going to be alone forever. Maybe you're very strong, you're very independent, you've got your career sorted, you've got your kids sorted, you can do amazing things, and you're just worried that you're not going to nail that piece and find your person. And I'm here to tell you that you absolutely can, and you absolutely will. And it really requires just to see relationships a little differently. And by differently, I mean dating in a way where you put yourself first and you know what you want. So getting clarity. Okay, do I want to be married again? Do I want to just have a long-term committed plan with someone? Do I want more kids? Getting clear on that. And then after that, really diving into how you date, because what will happen is the previous people you were with and your patterns of dating in the past will reoccur. So if you look at what those patterns were and you recognize that you are a part of the type of person you attract, then clearly that needs to be a little different. So I want to help you do that, and I want to show you how simple and easy and actually fun it can be to date differently and how to rediscover yourself. So book a free discovery call and I can show you how the coaching methodologies and techniques really shift that for you quite quickly. Love you.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
And tell me something, has that worked for you? Because you're still single. So, if it hasn't worked for you, now you're telling me you had anxious attachment and chose avoidant men. How can I trust that has changed? Oh, because you went to therapy after filing for divorce, and now you're healed. But for that, I'd rather go to your therapist. At least what they offer might actually help me. What can someone who broke up her own marriage teach me? Someone who didn't look for solutions in her relationship with the father of her kids. These are the women who go searching outside for what was missing in their relationship, thinking the grass is always greener. And now, she wants to sell a course to teach other women to look for what she hasn't even found herself. Honestly, you can't make this stuff up. There's a statistic that says 50% of relationships after a divorce end badly, and it gets worse the more divorces there are. What does that tell you? It's not always the husband they left. Sometimes it's the woman who ruins a good marriage just out of boredom, claiming she's not happy. Because, remember, marriage is only meant to make the woman happy. Once that purpose is gone, it loses its meaning.
Do you want to know why it's mostly single women that give advice on this app? I heard a girl asking, why isn't it that the married women are the ones giving dating advice? Why is it single women? Well, every time a married woman shares a good positive story about her husband or her married life, people jump in the comments and wish the worst on her. They say that she's bragging and that you should never brag on your man, and oh my God, one day he's going to embarrass you. We're not bragging. We're actually living our happily married lives, and sometimes when we share, if we share anything personal about our situation, people take it the wrong way. So I give general dating advice here
on my channel, but I would love to give more personal, more detailed advice, but I can't really do that unless I talk about my personal situation. And every time I do, on the rare occasion, people are like just wishing and waiting for the other shoe to drop in my life. So therefore I kind of scale back and I talk very generally, but I am going to share some personal stories about me and my life and how I kind of landed in this place. Why? Not because I want to brag, but because I do believe that success can be replicated, that we can learn from each other. Like, I can't be the only one who found love later in life, you know, got married at 38, had my son at 39, became a homeowner at 40. I am the president of the Late Bloomers Club, and I want to give hope to not just the late bloomers, even women in their 20s too. Maybe I can save the women in her 20s some time so that way she doesn't have to make all of the same mistakes I did. I am not a dating expert. I'm just someone who got it wrong time and time and time again. And when I finally got it right, things went smoothly for me. So maybe I can spare you guys from making a lot of the stupid mistakes that I did. Anyway, stay tuned to my channel. Those videos will be dropping soon. And don't discredit the advice that single women on this app give, because you need to learn some things from a woman who's still in the dating game. They have value too. I'll see you in my next video.
At least this one is honest. She's right. People only want to hear about destruction, not unity. For women, seeing a happy couple is synonymous with thinking that the man will eventually cheat. That's why videos of traditional wives, or women showing their happy life alongside a man, are filled with hateful comments. It's because misery loves company. And who's commenting? Women. It's always the typical wait till he cheats, wait till he hits you, enjoy it now before he becomes abusive. It's like they've generalized the idea that all men are abusive, that every woman who does acts of service for her husband is being oppressed. But many of these women had miserable, boring lives before finding a partner. They found happiness alongside a man. I've always said that taking things to extremes is harmful. Just as there are bad women, there are bad men, but not everyone is out to hurt the other. Believe me, this woman probably got a lot of hate for this video. And when you look at the age of the women leaving comments, you mostly see women 35 and older, stuck on the wall, sharing their misery, because we all know that the wall doesn't forgive.
Have you ever noticed that boy math seems to be that if they want to compliment you on something, they just point that thing out? For example, today, a lad said to me, "You've straightened your hair." Great observation. I said, "Yes, I have." And then he follows that up with saying, "It looks nice." And I don't know if this is a conscious thing that lads do, where they just identify the thing they want to compliment you on before they actually compliment you, when they could just compliment you. Like, it's not that deep. But to be honest, I find it quite cute that they do that. So long may it live.
Welcome to The Wall, where videos have no filter and neither do opinions. Today, we come across a woman who says, dating unattractive men? No way. And wait, there's more. Another one claims she's premium level and only dates men who can pay for the full package. And to top it off, a manifestation expert swears that if you ask with enough style, the universe will deliver it on a silver platter. Remember, we're here to comment, not criticize, though sometimes it's hard to hold back. I want you to smash that like button and join the channel by subscribing. Show some love to the movement. That's the only contribution we ask from you, man. Share your experiences in the comments to guide other men. Without further ado, let's get started.
If you're not gonna spend on me, get out of my DM. Do not be wasting my time. I'm not interested.
Well, there is something to be said about being upfront and honest.
I think that's all you should know. I'm very expensive. I have a very expensive taste. I'm like trying to get another Canna.
Oh my, there's at least one word for that, if not several.
So, make it make sense.
So to make it make sense in the easiest possible way, that individual sounds like they're charging for their time.
I cannot be wasting my time on someone that's not spending on me. You know what I mean? Does it add up?
It kind of makes a person wonder what exactly that would add up to.
Hell to the no, to the no, 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 no. Hell no.
Ah, here we have the classic I'm expensive, but without showing any magic skills other than spending. Brother, as I always say, If they don't contribute, they shouldn't take away. This isn't an expensive woman. It's just someone who's high maintenance. And those kinds of people don't help you progress. They help your wallet go on a diet. If someone tells you that being with them means pulling out the checkbook, then you're not looking for a partner. You're hiring a luxury service. And watch out, she's already warning you. If you don't pay, I'm not interested. Well, guess what? You shouldn't be interested either. Here's the trick. They tell you the price up front, then make you believe you have to pay just to be in their presence. But what they're really saying is they're not worth your time or money. If someone tells you not to waste their time unless you're going to spend on them, the best thing you can do is take that advice literally. Don't waste another second on someone who's more interested in your wallet than in you.
I stayed with someone after I got cheated on, and I'm going to tell you why it was the worst decision of my life. They might be forgiving for what they did, and they might show it through their behavior, but you can never get it out of your mind. You will always second guess them. You will always worry. You will always feel paranoid that they're going to do it again. You will always question why they did what they did, and the thoughts will run rampant in your mind. You will question what they did, why they did it, how many times they did it, and it will drive you crazy. You will constantly compare yourself to other women. Your emotions are all over the place. You feel sad, disgusted, resentment, hate, hurt. It all just consumes you because you start to question why someone that you loved so much had the ability to hurt you in the worst fucking ways. And no matter what you do, you will never get answers out of them because they are protecting themselves. They might love you, but they don't want to let you in on everything because they know they make themselves vulnerable, and they know there's a potential if you were to find out everything, you would actually walk away. You need to ask yourself whether you're staying because you genuinely do love them or because you're attached to them and you're scared to move on and let go. A lot of the time your ego is hurt, so then you try to hold on to that person to prove to yourself that they desire you and they want you, when realistically them cheating has nothing to do with you. You need to make a definite decision for yourself because you don't want to live a life of misery and just stay for the sake of staying. There's billions of people in this world. You are bound to meet someone that's 10 times better. The fact I stayed showed them that I was willing to tolerate anything and everything. So then it made them do it again because they knew they could disrespect me and I would still be there. So realistically, you need to decipher whether the person that you're with genuinely is remorseful or whether they don't have good intentions, because a lot of the time they don't. A lot of the time, if they cheat once, they're going to do it again. If they cheat twice, they're definitely going to fucking do it again. So protect yourself and let go of people that don't serve you.
I have to admit, sometimes it's better to switch books than to keep reading the same chapter where the hero always dies. What do I mean by this? Don't stay where you're being hurt. It only drains you mentally and emotionally, filling you with stress and insecurity. For a life like that, I'd end the relationship 100 times over. Interestingly, many men who get cheated on tend to be good guys. Trust me, there will always be another opportunity. Now, speaking of women, some stay in relationships where infidelity is present, and it's not always because of love, but because economic stability sometimes weighs more. Or they like the bad boy, but let's be realistic. When a man is well-positioned, options pour in. Many women go after the winner, the one in that top 20%, and of course, when a man reaches that point, he might feel like he's in a 24-hour ice cream shop, trying all the flavors he wants. And what about the women who marry these men? Well, many times they know what comes with the package. The sad part is that, in the end, they're left with a bruised ego when everything falls apart. Because believe me, if there's one thing that really hurts, it's having your ego crushed.
Why you should never go back to your ex. Let me tell you about this. So my brother sparked this question. I seen it on his show. And the reason why most people don't go back to their ex is very simple. But a lot of people don't think about it. It's because in order for you to go back to your ex, you would have to be that person that you was with your ex. See, a lot of people grow from every bad breakup or every relationship they grow. They do what's called reflection. And they start to reflect on the things that they tolerate, right? What they tolerated in the relationship and what they accepted. Because toleration breeds acceptance, right? So once the relationship is over, you create new rules for yourself, right? Y'all like to call them boundaries. I call them standards. So in order for you to go back to your ex, you must now go back to that person you was, which takes a lot of energy to go back in life in reverse. So a lot of people are not going to do that, right? So a lot of times when you go back to your ex, you got to bring up old feelings, right? You're on guard right? You're like, oh, I don't know if you're going to hurt me. I don't know if you're going to do this, or I don't know if she's going to do that. You're always tensed up. That takes a large amount of energy opposed to going forward. Because even though the going forward is unknown, the knowing can sometimes be worse. So once you grow and you have growth and you start to be a better person in your life and you start to heal and go through things. Going back, it's too much trauma. It's too much trauma. So a lot of people grow past a person and don't want to go back to being that normal person that the ex is used to seeing. So the ex hasn't earned the right, I hate to say this, to get the new you.
No! God, please, no! No! No!
Why should you never get back with your ex? Easy. Because going back to your ex is like trying to move forward while looking in the rearview mirror. According to some studies, people who have cheated once are more likely to do it again. In fact, it's estimated that about 45% of those who have been unfaithful in a relationship might repeat it in the future. On the other hand, only 18% of those who haven't cheated before would do so in future relationships. Source: Psychological Studies and the University of Denver. So, in addition to the pain and stress that a broken relationship can bring, you'd have to live with the constant fear that history might repeat itself. And as someone wisely said, after betrayal, nothing is the same. Trust is broken, and if someone couldn't offer you loyalty, which is the bare minimum in a relationship, do you really think you could be happy with that person in the long run? Getting back with your ex means reverting to that version of yourself that tolerated their drama and manipulations. If you've grown and improved as a person, there's no reason to look back. Your ex doesn't deserve the best version of you. So stop idealizing what's already in the past and move on. The future has much more to offer you.
Ladies, do not ever date the ugly guy.
Well, there's something indeed to be said for putting a person's shallowness on full display.
I know, he's nice, he's funny, he is so into you, he's so much fun. Right now, he is. He has to be all of those things right now because he knows he's got a face for radio, so he better work on that charm.
Right, because they couldn't have possibly anything else to offer.
Gonna date you, this woman who seems pretty far out of his league, right? A woman who also treats him really well with dignity and kindness.
So what exactly is the problem here?
He's gonna start thinking, you know what? Maybe I've got a lot to offer.
Oh, heaven forbid someone actually gains some self-confidence.
You treat a mediocre man like a king, he actually starts believing he's a king.
What I'm hearing so far is that a person shouldn't be treated well unless they measure up to a certain standard of attractiveness in a relationship.
And he goes out there to spin the block to see if he can get even better than you. He won't. He won't. He'll find a lot out there, maybe a couple crazy gals or two.
Because apparently, only crazy individuals would date someone who isn't conventionally attractive, right?
Date the hot guy instead, seriously, because they never ever actually become assholes. They don't have those same feelings of shame and defectiveness, that insecurity like the ugly guy.
I almost can't believe what I'm hearing, but believe it or not, there are individuals out there that actually believe you can tell everything you need to know about a person based just on what they look like.
Will never ever ever win with the ugly guy.
And sometimes what is most unattractive about a person is their personality.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
They say you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, and the same applies to relationships. When you see a man who isn't very attractive with a beautiful woman, it's because that man brings a lot to the table: charisma, status, social skills, or maybe a good wallet. This relates to something some call hypergamy, where women may feel more secure with men who offer stability. Also, many prefer to be the center of attention in the relationship, something that doesn't always happen if the man is very attractive. It's a reality. A beautiful woman can be a status symbol for some men, but that doesn't mean they don't benefit as well. In fact, there are studies suggesting that women married to less attractive men tend to have longer and happier marriages. A study published in the Journal of Family Psychology found that, in couples where the woman is more attractive than the man, both tend to be more positive and supportive of each other. This might be because men feel more motivated to maintain the relationship, offering more emotional support and making greater efforts to keep their partner happy. Source: LiveScience.com and the Good Men Project. It seems someone is lamenting because an ugly guy broke her heart. Maybe she should stop crying and remember that happiness in a relationship isn't always about physical appearance.
I have never in my life been attracting more than I am right now. I will just say that I want something out loud and I receive it within the day. I've been studying manifestation for the past 3 years or so. I've read countless books, watched so many videos. Only of the past 2 months have I mastered the technique. There are 4 things I specifically do every single second of the day that keep me attracting the things that I want all the time. For starters, I never say negative things about myself or about my life. Never will you catch me saying something bad about myself. I refuse to sing negative song lyrics. I just won't put it out into the universe. Practice saying positive things about yourself and about your day constantly. If I look in the mirror, I'm saying something positive about myself. If you don't know any affirmations, then watch an affirmation video. It will change your life. Seriously, start talking positive about yourself. It'll change everything. Another thing you will never catch me do is listening to negative music. I will not listen to sad music. Music has such a profound impact on us and on our vibrations that if you're listening to depressing music all day, you're gonna be depressed. There's no way around that. You're gonna be sad. If you choose to listen to happy, upbeat music, you're gonna be a happy person. It's gonna make you happier. It's such an easy way to put out positive energy and emotions without really trying. Another thing is I am constantly in a state of gratefulness. The universe wants to give gifts and blessings to people who will acknowledge it and receive it. Who wants to give a gift to somebody and they're just this sucks. Fuck this. Nobody wants to do that. So why would the universe give you shit if you're not going to acknowledge it? Be grateful for what you have. There are so many little things that you have that you can be grateful for. You just haven't acknowledged them. I am grateful for everything I have. Everything that happens to me, I'm grateful for all of it. I'm constantly grateful. When I'm walking around or in the car driving around, I will find something that I am grateful for always. The universe doesn't want to give shit to people who can't acknowledge what they're getting. Another thing that I do is I assume the best always. If I walk past a group of people and they're talking and looking at me and whispering, I'm going to assume they're saying something good about me. I'm never going to assume they're talking shit, and they could be. They might be. I don't know that. So why would I say that? Because, I'm creating my own reality. If I say they're talking good things about me, they're talking good things about me. It's my world. Another thing I will say is to feel your emotions fully. If I feel sad or overwhelmed throughout the day, I will allow myself to feel that. I'm not going to bottle it up. In the past, I've always been the type of person that bottled stuff up. But it's so important to allow yourself to feel it, and it's changed my life to allow myself to have a clear conscience. What I do is I will acknowledge the emotion I'm feeling, and I will release it completely. I'll cry, I'll do what I have to do to completely release the emotion and move on. You have to go into it with the intention that as soon as you're done feeling it, you're going to let it go and you're going to move on. You cannot manifest with a busy and heavy conscience. You just can't do it. You have to have a clear conscience. And the only way to clear that is by feeling every single thing that you have bottled up. It's scary, but if you go into it with intention, it's not that scary. I promise.
Brothers, if you ever hear someone say that all they have to do is ask the universe to get what they want, pack your stuff and leave. Because, truth is, it doesn't work that way. First, there's something called the halo effect, a cognitive bias that makes us perceive attractive people more positively. This girl, for example, is quite pretty, and a lot of what happens to her has more to do with her appearance than with magic. It's like going through life on easy mode. It's like when a guy who's an 8 or 10 in attractiveness gives you advice on how to win over women, but you're more like a 1 or 3. It's not that his advice is bad. It's just that you're not starting from the same point. All he has to do is smile, and they're already interested. You do the same thing, and you end up in trouble. Or worse, they call the cops thinking something suspicious is going on. That's why I don't sit around manifesting things to the universe, because no matter how much I ask for money, my bank account is still at 0. Now, what I do believe in are 2 types of luck. Blind luck, which is random, and preparation luck, which comes from hard work. That's what I try to apply in my life. If I hit the gym, I increase my chances of being more attractive. If I read, I gain knowledge to improve. If I learn new skills, I have more ways to make money. And if I dress well and get a good haircut, well, maybe I'll look better. People call that luck, but it's really small steps putting you on the right path. In the end, those who sit around manifesting without doing anything are only manifesting nothing. Because for something to happen, you have to work for it and stop listening to that nonsense. We've reached the end of the video, but before we go, the questions are for you. What do you think about that statistic that says 45% of people who cheat do it again? Have you ever tried manifesting something and it came true? If you enjoyed the video, make sure to hit like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell. Your support means the world to us and motivates us to keep creating more content. See you in the next exciting video of The Wall.